Like, we have heard stories about funders who have raised 1 crore and gone and bought Range Rovers and what.
Fortuner.
Yeah.
1 crore angel funding raised.
Next day.
Bought a Fortuner.
Bought a Fortuner next day.
He said he needs it for sales.
Business meetings.
50% on assets.
These are real. These are real. I hope they are not in your portfolio.
I hope so.
On balance sheet,
may need
it's
to
once
swap
year.
notes after. None of these are in my portfolio.
Yeah.
What's your take on Shark Tank?
I bought pen with the money that you gave us. Pen, notebook. They also became irrelevant.
Hi guys, welcome to SynapsePod. We have Ayush, Paras, Chirag, me as usual, and we have our pro guest today, Niharika. Thank you guys for coming to this session. And so today's topic is angel investment. Well, we have heard a lot of stories from various entrepreneurs that what was their investment journey, but what's usually the story on the other side of the table? That is kind of unknown. So today, to discuss that even deeper, we have Niharika. She has been an entrepreneur herself, as well as now ventured into investment world. And before we start the discussion, I would love her to introduce herself to our audience, and then we'll start the discussion.
Yes. Go, Niharika. Let's do this.
Thanks. Wonderful to be here. I think he's already spoken a little bit about my background, but my previous life, I have been on the corporate side, then been an entrepreneur and an angel investor now. I am also a partner at an angel network. So sort of seen the ecosystem from all aspects, and I'm also an angel investor myself. So that's, I think, the most exciting part of all of it.
Yeah, just full disclosure, guys. Niharika was the first investor in Leaf
Yes.
before everyone took the punt. But so we hold that relationship in the highest of regards, and yeah,
She have
we
always
go way
been an
back.
angel.
This is no disclaimer. This is the thing to boast about. The biggest and one of the earliest.
Yes. So
Agreed.
we go way back.
So the point is that when the difference between an angel investment and a venture capitalist is that it's your own money,
Yes.
right? You're not dealing with someone else's money and trying to make maximum out of it, but it's your hard-earned money which you are putting in, and so the risk is high, but there's always an intent of high returns as well. But like we manage our personal finances, do you come up with a plan of action on a yearly basis or on a 5-year horizon? Is there anything that goes in your mind with that regard?
No, that's a great point. I mean, I wish I were that prudent that I did yearly finances. But so two parts to that. How I think about it is, one is, of course, your daily spend, right, or whatever your monthly spend and your expenses. But when you're thinking of wealth building is not an annual plan. It cannot be one. I mean, wealth building is usually 5 or 3 to at least minimum 3 years to maybe a 10-year plan, right? And that's where true wealth really gets developed, and that's also sort of how angel investing or participating in the startup ecosystem from an individual investor perspective has to be, because you can't, as much as you are in it for the ride, it's not a very liquid asset. You can't liquidate it at whenever you want it, right? So it's a belief in something which is slightly longer term, and hence sort of you look at it. That's how I've always thought about it.
That's definitely true, that the investment over here is definitely a long-term investment, and it can't be very well planned in a way. But what about you guys?
I mean, Niharika, I've read about this law called the power law.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are aware about it. So which states that in angel investing, you can't get away with doing 3, 4, 5 investments. If you get a big one, probably you are just lucky. For the odds to really be in your favor, because it's such a high risk asset class, so you have to do 30, 40, 50, maybe more for that, 2 or 3 in 100 to hit. So have you seen that happen so far? Can you feel the power law already, or you are on your journey with the power law? Where are you?
Or you're having a luck?
Yeah, no, I think we're all on that journey. I mean, that's a very interesting take on it. I also have slightly different take, but I feel like the asset class in itself is, there's a there is an assumption it's very risky. It's not to say it's not risky, but even in angel investing, if you are like looking, right? So when we talk about angel investing, angels typically come in seed, pre-seed, seed, pre-series A. Very few will come in at a series A onwards because it gets expensive.
Yeah.
But if you're coming pre-series A, you would have seen a monetization runway already. So you're de-risked. So even within the asset class, you can pick investments which are slightly lower risk. If you are looking at a pre-revenue, pre-product stage, obviously the risk is higher. But at a monetization phase, it's lower. So I tell people, and now I sort of have, this is my thesis now, wherein I say that now the investments I look for are usually in the seed to pre-series A, slightly de-risked. I know that the chances of the return will also probably not be the 20x or the 100x, but it's okay. The returns, if they give you anything, which I tell, or we try to talk to our angel network also and friends and family, if you're getting on a ticket size of 5 lakh, for example, a 5x return in 3 to 5 years, there is no other asset class that will give you that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So then you're pretty de-risked, because by pre-series A, if you've been in the system enough, you can start seeing series A dikh raha hai ki nahi dikh raha hai. Is there a institutional person on the cap table? I can pretty much figure out this person will hit series A or do an exit or maybe go up to B. Beyond that, as an angel anyway, you sort of take a step back because you'll be too diluted.
Yeah, makes sense. In that case only, Niharika, like for example, let's say you have 100 crores to deploy, right? How do you essentially compartmentalize that? I would keep X amount for new investments, which you may do spray and pray.
Yeah.
And you would do Y amount, let's say, for follow-on investments. What's the kind of mathematics that runs there?
Yeah.
How do you take those bets for doubling down or exiting? What kind of thought process goes there?
I think that's a great question, and that is very dependent on, again, as an angel, very few people do follow-ons. Usually that comes more from a fund perspective, and funds may have their own personal thesis. But typically, as I've spoken to people in the ecosystem, this is more anecdotal rather than quantitative here. But people will look at about 30% of their portfolio for second round of deployment. So, they will have that little amount kept aside for the stars, right? That you're doubling down on those guys. But the rest of it is, and currently anyway, the way we've seen in the ecosystem is, there is more activity in seed, pre-seed, seed and pre-A, and beyond that it's slightly cooled off. So I don't think it's terrible, but I just think it's almost like a reset, right? There was this growth spurt, and the startups here were not getting enough attention because everyone was doubling down on the ones that were doing well, and now there's been sort of a clock back wherein now folks are looking at newer startups, seeing what can be sort of addressed, and another 2 years I think we'll start seeing A and B push because these guys will reach there.
So in that case, you're saying that the market has corrected a bit, like from the growth thing. So I mean, there must be something that people were looking at when deciding which company to go down, double down on before this correction happened. So has that has those factors changed, like pre-growth and post this growth deceleration? Like the kind of things you are looking in a startup or in the founders, because it's kind of an early stage, right? So has that equation changed?
Yes, I think it has, because there was a buoyancy in the market which was very palpable, right? Everyone was very happy. Right? So,
too good to be true.
So in that situation, right, it's like when you eat something you like and you overeat, that was sort of the case. Now people are a little wary. What I have seen, doubling down still is basis growth, right? I mean, if I see the trajectory happening, but what has changed, I feel, is that, people are not necessarily now looking for very aggressive founders. And again, this could just be whatever I've seen of the system. And personally, when I've also sort of worked with you guys and any of the startups I've invested in, my own thesis has always been a very grounded founder, because it's very easy to get wings and fly, but if you're not resilient and you're not grounded, any external variables throw you off. So it's very, very important, and I think that sort of come through because the last 2 years changed so much in the system, that those who couldn't, there was a crash and burn, right? And hence, I think that's sort of been that's I think been one of the big changes.
But there's so many topics being touched in this last 10 minutes itself that I am coming up with so many questions in my mind. So the first thing adding to you, that's true. Even the big funds who used to be coming in after B or C, they are right now looking at seed fund.
Yes.
So definitely there is I think an intent to capture the stars way before or make more money on that.
Exactly.
But as you said that when you look at a company, you're looking at someone who's already either just about to unlock revenue or already has done it.
Yeah.
So don't you think at that stage the options for the entrepreneur also increases? So how will you make yourself relevant as an angel investor in that scenario? Because then he has those big daddies also coming in and
who comes with the money for the follow-ups.
money for the follow-ups.
How do you fight for the deal flows, right? Because
Yeah.
being an angel versus being a VC powerhouse, like
It's so interesting. No, it's so interesting you guys asked me this because just today there was somebody who I had a conversation with. She's more in the designing of vegan leather sort of backspace. We are going into more details, and I just had this discussion. Someone who does not come from a traditional background started a business which is fairly profitable, and the question was, if you want to raise, do you even raise? You know, do you even dilute your equity? Should you go for debt funding? You know, do you get a strategic advisor? Do you get an advisor with sweat equity? Do you get an angel advisor? So we literally had a very similar conversation, but it's true. It's a founder's market always. I think any founder who goes in thinking it's not his market is already discounting himself.
Yeah.
So never have that thought process. Always think I have enough and more options. I have to choose. Second part of it, see, of course, VCs, you know, and micro VCs and larger VCs, they're both of them, but they all come with their own skill set and, you know, the force behind them. But I feel if a founder is very sorted, especially if it's at the point where they figured out the playbook, then you want to be very particular about who you're taking on board, because angels will not finagle you that much. You know, they are not going to come back to you with the accountability is much higher when it's an institutional investor. So angels, depending on your equation with them, can be an advisor, can be a friend. You know, that relationship, like we've built it over the time, it's more sort of just very chill but also very constructive, right? And I feel as an investor, I want to be able to tell whoever my founder is, I always say the disclaimer, this is all my opinion. As a founder, you should discard whatever you think is not relevant. You should, it's not a diktat. But sometimes at a later stage with institutional investors, it does go more towards the guidance being very particular, because they do have their own certain SOPs, right? So if you think you're a founder who is not sure of any processes, then I definitely think going the institutional route is better. So I think it's sort of what works for you.
I mean, it's also like if like a VC comes in at a very early stage and the founder hasn't found the product market fit, then that extra pressure would just it will take the founder to the wrong direction and like hyperscale in the wrong direction. Wherever if the pressure is less and the founder has enough money from angel instead of a VC, maybe the lesser pressure will force the founder to have a better product market fit and then go for a higher round or something. That is what I think. And
Also, one addition to that, like how I see this question is since I've spent some time in EdTech and you also are. So what I've realized is for a founder to choose a VC or an angel at the pre-seed stage is exactly like taking an EdTech course from an institution or a creator. So individual creators are brands now, right? Individual angel investors are brands. They come with their face value and then they put their reputation on line for every single deal that they do. Whether you take Kunal Shah, Ritesh Malik or anyone, right? So what I've realized is individual brands, the affinity and the relationship and the comfort with individual angels is much more for a pre-seed seed founder as compared to just a thappa, like a brand. Right, hey, I'll raise money from this X micro VC who's just coming up, right? It's an institution. But will he put his reputation on the line for you when things go bad?
Interesting, very interesting. So do investors have this thing in mind, whether there's a competition of brand equity as well, that what they bring in?
I think that's
you want to try and build up, are you trying to build up your own brand in that?
I should be, but I haven't yet.
This is the first step. This is the first step.
Maybe this is the first step. This is the first step in the right direction. But I think every founder, every investor is also very different. I have been told by friends who are who mean the best that I downplay whatever I bring to the table. But having said that, see, I feel, when you, instead of, I mean, of course, you have the heavyweights and no comparison to them. But I think within the first 10 minutes, like in a pitch, right? Like whether this you want to hear them also or you don't want to hear them. By this time, if you've been a part of the ecosystem, even if you're a founder, you will hear someone else who's a founder in 10 minutes, you will know this person or she or he does not know what they're doing, or I want to have a conversation or not. Similarly, with the investor, you will know within the first 10 minutes, is this someone I can consistently collaborate with? Because getting money is not the concern, right? So the second part, am I building? I haven't, but I think now it's sort of getting there. However, there is much to be said about understanding where people are also having no offense. If you have 200 investments or 100 investments, what time can you give to any of them? You cannot. It is your money and it is your face, and after that, that's all. So they as a brand are putting, like you just said, na thappa. So it's like a FDA approval. अब उसके बाद आपको कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो approval आ गया. But is FDA going to do anything? No. But is that what you're looking for, or what you're looking for is someone who's going to work, right, or is going to is so passionate about what they're bringing along with the money that they, say, tell me how can I help you? So I think, and having you sort of your own tribe is great. And if you can get all of them, like, some people like this, some like that, and maybe even a micro VC, that's probably a good mix.
Very interesting.
I think customer rounds are like very underrated right now. Like a lot of SaaS companies are right now going after their customers to say that, why don't you fund us? So because in general, when a SaaS company comes in, like I'll give you an example of this company called GoQuick. We have it on our website. Okay, so it's a fast checkout solution, prepaid discounting, a lot of good stuff they have done on e-commerce checkout for D2C brands. So they did their like angel round from the founders of their first few clients like Mamaearth, etc. And worked like magic because the scope of work for the angel to contribute to the product is very clear.
Retained.
B, like you were mentioning before, the pod revenue is guaranteed for a few months. You can fuck up a little.
Yes.
And then, of course, the insights are so relevant. Like,
exactly.
Like they'll tell you the truth to your face, because if they don't tell you the truth, they lose the money eventually.
Exactly.
So I think a customer base, like angel round from your customers, is very underrated. B, I think it's catching up now. It's influencer round. Like, if you are a B2C product or a D2C brand, might as well raise from a few influencers who will get you the early traction of 1,000 users like this. Like you have a mostly sane putting out a post and it just sells out the first 1,000 products. The feedback comes in and you are good to go. You don't get caught up in the chicken and egg problem. So I think these two, customer round and influencer round. Have you been a part of any of these so far? And what has been yours? Do they look better? Like,
I wonder if there are any products for these specific kind of investment instruments.
Exactly.
Angel list.
Well, I'm specifically saying customer round. Right?
But they send out an email explaining that there's a upcoming round. I want to open it up for my customers.
Yeah, I get it. But suddenly the customers become co-owners.
Yes, they do.
Right.
And so we've not seen exactly something like that, but Shiprocket's been doing that with managing the inventory in some capacity, right? So we've seen it with D2C brands. They've had that one place where they say for everyone, whatever, they have their own terms, but something like that's been happening in the D2C space from a logistics perspective. And it's interesting you bring out the customer round, because right before we went live we talked about it, wherein, without going into details, there's somebody in a particular space which is a fintech platform, wherein with one of the customers they were able to close the revenues also and get that customer on with certain advisory equity. So you get the name, you get the face, you get the surety of the revenue, and that in itself product is very good. I mean, how much better it doesn't get better than that. And when I, as an angel investor, look at it, I know this part is sorted, so I at least know this much revenue is coming for sure, and hence your valuation at X, Y, and Z makes sense. So for me, at least the next round is sorted, right?
But I want to add one thing that I learned about the customer round is that if you get raised funds from a corporate, like, of course, if an entrepreneur is investing in a personal capacity, it's definitely appreciated. But if a company is coming in at the pre-seed round, it's usually considered as a red flag for the upcoming investors that this company is bound to be acquired someday at definitely a very discounted price. Look like a strategic investment. So in that case, like, we were of the always opinion, do not entertain a company, entertain an individual.
I mean, there are examples on both sides.
Yeah.
The company Aether has been formed out of a strategic
Hero,
investment. So,
Yeah.
by a hero, correct.
Yeah.
So, there have been good examples about it, there have been bad examples about it, but I think, yeah, if you have to choose a path. I
Yeah.
do think if you're going to strategic, then go all in.
Yeah.
That place you are.
I think strategic
Zomato
matters.
right now is also doing the same thing, right?
Sorry?
Zomato right now is also doing the same thing. They are taking like minor stakes, 20%, 15% in different companies like ShipRocket and other
Blinkit
Blinkit,
acquired.
and multiple other companies. So they're not. It's more of a strategic investment instead of like taking a majority stake.
Also, I think the quantum of stake also makes a lot of difference.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying quantum of stake in terms of 100% of the company, quantum of stake in terms of the founders. What do the founders retain? How much do they have? Will I be just above them or not? So,
Yeah.
So I remember when this TV series came, startup, I think TVF series, what was it called, Paras? Pictures.
Yeah.
I remember that famous Bhujia wala as an angel investor when he came in and he said 51% equity, I want.
Even at the early stage of our startup.
Yeah,
We
back
have
then.
found champions.
We have found some, but I would say over the last, 5-6 years, angel investment has so matured so rapidly
Yeah.
that they know that they have to make sure that the founder has a skin in the game.
Yes.
They should have decent equity where their valuation is also justified.
Yeah.
I think maturity level is increasing at a very rapid pace. And so coming to the next question that I have is the deal flow.
Yeah.
So I know there are some instruments over there as well, and there are syndicates, there are angel networks,
Yeah.
and there are of course individual brand we just talked about.
Yeah.
So what exactly are the various methods you are trying to attract interesting investments?
Interesting investments. No, that's a great question. I have been, like, I can speak for the network and for myself right now. We've been fairly fortunate. We've had a lot of organic deal flow. So what ends up happening is, right, while there's some organizations or some micro VCs or VCs for that matter, they have fairly clear vision in terms of sectors and what are they looking for, right? Like I said, there's certain SOPs in place, and usually even from a VC's perspective, the portfolio has to be complementary because that's where you will leverage strengths, right? So, but as an angel network, we are not bound, or as an angel investment, we've not been bound. So a lot of the deals that have been coming through, you'd be surprised. I mean, everything from drone tech to a community platform for blue collar workers to FMCG, they all come sort of organic to us. So it's been interesting because I think, at least from our network perspective, we're sort of very differentiated because we try to invest in more women, and we also have more women angel investors. So I think that's just the way the network sort of adds value is different. But coming back to the more organized way of deal flow, well, see, you have to be just what you said, brand building. So as you participate or represent your organization or yourself as an angel investor in different events, where startups are pitching. That's a lot where deal flow starts coming in because there might have been 10 startups, but they speak to 10 more, and then there's this sort of juggernaut effect that happens on LinkedIn, and you have people reaching out. Similarly, working with schools and institutions, because there are a lot of startups coming out of schools and colleges, such as your all selves, when you just started right out of college. And the third part, which I am very excited about, is I think Tier 2 and Tier 3 India. So this is something sort of very close to my heart. I keep telling people that building for India is done. Going for the 5 big cities and the pockets of everyone in those cities, it's very hard. How many apps will someone download? But if you're not from a Tier 2 or Tier 3 city yourself, usually it's very hard to pinpoint the problem, from those cities. So just sort of trying to encourage more entrepreneurs coming out of those cities. If any of them are watching this, like, one per word of thing is, again, do not discount yourself. I have seen a lot of people coming out of smaller towns feeling, how will I compete? And that's just you discounting yourself right at the beginning, which is not fair. So I think that's also a lot where suddenly deal flow is coming up, because if you see even investor meetings, would have seen on LinkedIn, Tai just did something recently in Rajasthan. There are investor meetings happening in places even as Udaipur, Jodhpur. I was in Indore recently, and that's still Tier 2. We haven't even gone to Tier 3 cities. So both the money and the solutions can come from that, and I think that's where some very, very interesting deal flow will happen, because it's not all here, right? It's not all the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Like tier 2, tier 3, like people usually say that it's very difficult. It's more of a DAO farm. It's more difficult to like get revenue from tier 2, tier 3, right? So have you seen like any interesting startups or any interesting ideas that are actually generating revenue in tier 2?
Yeah.
And why are you bullish in that particular job?
So two things, right? One is entrepreneurs from tier 2, tier 3 cities. One is building for tier 2, tier 3 cities. So one, again, I mean, I just sort of heard him speak and I think there is a Bima Kavach right out of Indore, and Waterbridge has just financed them. So insurance, so they've done innovation in insurance for SMEs. Now that's a very peculiar field, but they've done it, right? So that's one, and they've been doing really well and growing. I mean, without getting into specific numbers. But tier 2, tier 3 entrepreneurs are very good. I mean, and you don't necessarily also just have to build solutions for tier 2, tier 3. We just spoke about, another, like a bunch of kids that we came across at the event, and a great solution which is pan-India, right? So what I've also seen though interesting is less D2C brands come out of smaller towns. So there's this massive surge. Everybody, if you talk to a tier 1 city, somehow a D2C. Like, it's very interesting. There's just been this wave of D2C.
Yeah.
Also, like, there was a wave of Meta.
So D2C is consumerism. The tier 2 guy has not seen consumerism.
Exactly. So the value add.
So they don't realize.
Yeah. So, but it's actually interesting because the ideas there are very sort of, I will say, how should I put it in a nicer way? Like, it's very
real.
It's very real civil tech being developed.
Wow.
Civic tech.
That's right. Yeah,
Like,
that's very
we had a startup that showcased something on the lines of, sewage management system that they had designed. So, so that thinking outside of just ki matlab kaun ye aur kitna kharchega, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. And even when you go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, see, sitting in our larger cities, we can think consumer pain points will be X, Y, and Z, but if you're not living that life on a daily basis, you do not know what touch points you're missing out. So I'll tell an interesting anecdote where some other investor told me about a particular company wherein the company was working out of one of the co-working spaces, and they were kind to some of the cleaning staff there. The cleaning staff reached out to them and said, I want to quit my job, can I join you all? Right? And they said, sure, I mean, whatever. But the insights that guy drove, their business is based out of tier 3, tier 4 cities. It has grown 4x from that person coming on board.
Crazy.
Because, and that startup is based out of Gurgaon, but their whole, everything that they're building is for tier 4 and tier 3 cities.
Yeah.
So unless you have someone from there, you can't, right? So especially if you're a founder, then why not? Because, as a young founder or even as a general founder, you would have seen some of the world outside, but then you also understand the daily issues that are there.
What I also understand from this,
Yeah.
what I also understand from this is very interestingly that now that when technology is hitting these tier 3, tier 4 cities, right?
Yeah.
And their problems are still the problems which tier 1 cities had, let's say 10, 15, 20 years ago. At that time, there was no technology. So the government's intervention solved those problems in its due time.
Yeah.
Or local civic bodies, right? Suddenly, since they are, let's say, 15 years behind tier 1 cities, and the government's intervention in those tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities is still slow, new entrepreneurs are looking at technology as a solution to solve this before other parties can get involved. Hence the rise of these kind of
absolutely.
Startups from Bharat.
That's a good point.
As they say.
Exactly.
How about you guys find deals? Let's discuss that as well.
We find deals.
Yeah.
No. So I'm not that active into angel investments. Whatever I've made, it's been into products that have worked for Leaf. Like Leaf has been a client to them. So we've seen them very closely. We've given them very close feedback, and that's why we know the founders really well. So that makes a lot of sense to us. I mean, you didn't touch the most typical thing that an angel investor would say, is that we bet on the founder. So, yes, we are also one of them.
We work with so many partners together, in Leaf, and I think the kind of insights that we have given them, in a way, it has helped them shape early the products, not just us, but client like us. So that's a good way to get to know a lot of startups happening.
Also, a lot of founder referral, like
Yeah.
founders recommending other founders
Yeah.
to other founders.
Yeah.
Hey, you should check this out. I'm putting in. I get a lot of deal from other.
But do you
Like
like
my lens, I'll tell you what right now. If it's just a paper plan, it's a no
Okay.
for me. Because there are so many no-code tools available right now. Like I would be very open to a paper plan probably 5 years ago. Right now, if someone just has a paper plan, I think they are just lazy. So I'm not sure how much you agree to this.
Yeah.
Unless it's of course a deep tech product, then the
Yeah.
game absolutely changes. You
Or the
can't go
founder is
POC
super-
with a cardiovascular tech.
Yeah.
So the
But-
founder is a superstar. Let's
Yeah,
say he's
yeah, that's
built
true.
and sold 4 or 5 companies. Yeah, paper plan. Just
I
like-
mean, if the founder is a superstar, that big a superstar, and he or she is letting you in,
he would not even
why
go for
they
a
would
paper
let you
plan.
in then?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
happen. So the dynamics would play out.
Yeah.
Correct. That's true.
But so Niharika, a quick question on that. What do you see as and this is just the conversation from the tier 2, tier 3 founders. Do you think tier 2, tier 3 founders have frugality as an innate quality in them since they've grown up
Yes.
with that, and that's one of
Am
the
I in the
qualities?
tier 2, tier 3
No, I
founder?
don't
No.
think no one is
Why?
Why would you be?
You're no.
For how long have you been living in Delhi?
Forever.
In Delhi, I've been living since 13 years. I'm 29. I'm still 16
You
years
are-
off.
No,
you have,
I
you have,
think-
got, you have left a lot of insights from that year.
If that is a desperate attempt to gain some spotlight just to be relevant for this
No,
topic.
I'm just trying to
But you
tell
have a lot of-
Niharika
but you have a
that
lot
she
of-
has made great bets.
Oh.
And without realizing. that
Without
she did.
realizing when she was investing in tier 2, tier 3.
The thesis has always been there. Just getting to know it now.
That is unlocked now. That's very obvious.
So yes, so back to that. What are the core qualities that, and this for all the founders who will watch this as well, core qualities that you look out for in founders, let's say top 5, which would essentially give the confidence to an angel investor to bet on the founder?
Yeah.
Because early stages, things are very haywire, we don't know what the market size is, how the product will evolve, and so on. So,
Yeah.
what are the top 5 things that you look for in founders specifically?
In founders, first thing is clarity of vision. You know, I have met founders like it's sometimes unfortunate. You will talk to them and they'll be like, if you want me to say it like this, I will say it like this. You know, like there's this need to literally just be like, I'll pivot from here to there, and then that just sort of is, even if you were interested, you're like, if you can't hold it when I'm speaking to you, when the VCs come in, it's not going to be that easy, right?
Yeah.
So how are you going to sort of handle it? So that's one. So clarity of vision. Second, I would say is openness to feedback. Again, if you are actually sorted, you'll be open to feedback. It doesn't mean you have to take the feedback, but very high defense makes it also sort of combative, which is again not a relationship you would want from any of your portfolio companies or any of the founders. Third, I will say is sort of frugality. So frugality from a perspective, as in I personally don't like people who would say I've already raised X amount and fine we're doing in fine in revenue, but I want to also raise 2x of 3x of that now just because I feel it will make me comfortable and then I will think about later on. And no, I tell founders this all the time, whatever you think you need, cut it by half. You don't need that much. Because no, it's true, because what happens is I tell them, the more frugal you are and the more bootstrapped you are right now, the next time you go for valuation, a VC will appreciate it. You did not dilute. You did not utilize money for ridiculous things. You were frugal and you made it work. So, if you have a working product that is monetized on minimal cost, then nothing sweeter than that, right? So that, and then I will say grounded, like I mentioned, this is a very personal thing. People have different choices, and hence I feel I feel the tier 2, tier 3 people are very grounded. Though, if any of you all are watching, the other thing I'll say is, please, whenever you're thinking, think slightly larger. Being grounded means you are grounded as an individual. Doesn't mean you don't have vision for your company. One of the things I've seen is, again, this is sort of not calling out biases, but certain pockets of certain cities, you will see every founder saying, in 3 years, it's 100 crore business, and they have just back calculated from that. And I also know, and you also know, there is no way this is a 100 crore business. On the contrary, I have seen businesses which could be 100 crores, but the founder will tell me, if I hit 4 crore or 5 crore, and I'm like, can you not see what this can do? Right? So it has to be somewhere in the middle, right? And you need people to push you for that. And then the fifth one I'll say is how much skin in the game you have. If you say, I'm thinking of doing this and I've not left my day job. I can't that won't work.
Yeah.
Or if this doesn't work, then I will take up a job. People drop this
Yeah.
into a conversation. So if your skin isn't in the game, then why should my money be in this game?
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely agreed.
So let me put you in a tough spot. Let's say you put some money, like let's say for the sake of number, 25 lakhs into a company. Now you had put in thinking this will become a 100 crore business. Now it has ended up becoming a 3 crore business. It's not going anywhere. What do you tell the founder? Shut the business and give me my money back or sell my stake, or do you let him be or her be, or you tell them to bring in some other co-founder? What's your game plan? Now the illiquid investment has gone completely illiquid. It's not going anywhere.
So that's a very tough one.
How do you see your exit strategy?
That's not my question. I mean,
That's not even-
depends a lot of things. Like,
Or do you
Not
even
extend-
see an exit strategy?
No, so that's like a distress sale then. I mean, that's not an exit strategy, it's a distress sale. But that's a very tough spot and you wouldn't want to be in that spot. Hopefully, you saw it coming before that happened. However, if you can't, I personally think it's part of the game. I'm not going to lose sleepless nights over it. If I can obviously get my stake back, then I would ask the founder to do it. There are times when even that is not possible. And hence coming back now, I don't put very large check sizes. I put smaller check sizes. But having said that, if you still kind of go back to it, it is just one of those things. You had bet on the founder and you had believed it at that point in time. No point getting heartburn about it now. You take the best decision that you can at that point in time. You try to figure out, with your network and all. I think getting a co-founder on may not change things, but if there is any acquisition possible, even small part of the business, if there was a tech play, then you try to figure and sell that off. And that's what it is. And also it depends why that person reached that point, right? If it was completely external variable driven, then what can you do? Then you can't hold that person accountable for it. But if it was something consistently someone kept making the same mistake, then the conversation is different.
Agreed. I want to also bring another angle to it about the investment thesis. So we definitely got a persona of a type of entrepreneur that kind of fits in your picture, but a lot of time as an angel investor, you think that I may or may not be an expert of this field. So does that demotivates you, or you keep yourself away from those kind of investments? Like, it's no question to everyone.
Very good
That
question.
does it need to be a subject matter expert for yourself, or not a subject matter expert, but at least some idea about that field? So how do you define your thesis? Because as an angel investment, you said you have been getting leads from all sort of domains.
No, very good point. So in the past, so what's been interesting is, right, there's certain sectors which see first time angel investors being very comfortable, like D2C, because we can all anecdotally see, ये तो मैं use करूँगा, या मैं किसी को जानता हूँ कोई use करेगा, so that's it's easier to sell that even to, in our network, to people, they are more comfortable if the first or second time angel investors putting money there. Now coming back to the technicality, yes, now if it's deep tech or drone tech or whatever, something like this, I have now friends in the ecosystem who are experts, and I will refer the deck to them saying, I don't understand if this device needs 3 wings or 6, right? Like, does it even make a difference to me? I can understand the overarching business use case, but can I understand the utility of this? And especially when people start saying, I have a patent, right? Now that's a very, as soon as I hear patent, yes, any investor hears patent, they like it. It's a catching word, okay? You can hear the bells go ring because you're like, this can be monetized, and don't we know it, Paras? Yes. So having said that, but what happens is, right, उस utility कितनी है उस patent की, तो कितना हो सकता है उस चीज का? मैं अगर नहीं सोच सकती, then that's when I sort of reach out to friends that, deep tech, biotech. I don't understand genomics beyond a certain point. I don't understand even Web3, even though I've been investing, certain things I just don't understand, right? So if there is someone I will feel at next level I need an understanding, that's sort of when I bring, partners in the ecosystem in. And you will know this because everybody sort of developed their own thesis. I know health, I'm very comfortable on taking that bet. D2C, I'm very comfortable. If someone told me a specific SaaS play, I'm not. I don't understand B2B that much. And I don't have a portfolio company of B2B. So hence I will recommend it.
So you try to fill that gap with some help?
Yes.
Or you stay away from it? What about you guys? Like, do you have a bias? Okay, I know this field. So, okay, I'm gonna analyze this particular deal in a much more closely or interestingly, or are you open to anything?
So in my case, I mean, I would like to see the startups or the founders who are building in either Web3 or any technology oriented startup. Like I would not want to go for a product or a company which is doing a lot of retail, let's say, or offline thing, right? Because we all know that the cost of replication is very low, and that should go low with the scale. So I have a bias towards investing in tech startups, be it Web3, Web2, whatever it is. So and it's sector agnostic because I mean, as Niharika said, if you know the sector, then you can take the bet, right? If you don't, then you can pull in someone from the ecosystem to understand about it. So that's my
Nice. So I have been saving one very interesting topic till now, was about Shark Tank. I would have to give it to that thanks to this particular platform, I think it has become a word of literally.
Our parents got educated a bit.
Exactly. I remember back in 2015 when we were first time raising, and I was explaining what does valuation means, what does share swapping will happen, or how it will be divided. It was going all over the heads to most of the people, including me. So I think Shark Tank has played a very strong role in the first season itself. Though I do not align with a lot of things that happen over there, especially the way valuation is being tossed left, right, center, or founders are being sometimes being subjected to things. But overall, bullied. But overall, I think that the impact that it can brings to the entire generation is phenomenal. That's true. I have heard literally some adolescents people talking about, I want to go in Shark Tank. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's more like when we were building, we were looking at the Shark Tank episodes of what was happening in US, right? We were also getting educated seeing those episodes, and similar thing is happening when it has come to our job.
This is much more contextual, and I love the way that these guys have marketed funding as a product, money as the product, and hence they found absolute product market fit in the youth of India. That hey, if I raise some money, I'll be flamboyant, sexy. We know about founders.
It's a good branding activity for funding as a product.
Yeah, funding as a product.
You won't get educated.
Absolutely. You would give them TRPs for sure.
That's a good thing.
And we know, we have heard stories about founders who have raised 1 crore and gone and bought Range Rovers and what?
Fortuner.
Yeah.
1 crore angel funding raised.
Next day,
Bought a Fortuner.
Bought a Fortuner next day.
He said he needs it for sales.
Business meetings.
50% on assets.
These are real. I hope they are not in your portfolio.
I hope so.
On balance sheet,
we may need
it's
to
once
swap
year.
notes after. None of these are in my portfolio.
What's your take on Shark Tank?
I bought pen with the money that you gave us. Pen, notebook. They also became irrelevant. Actually, dead assets because at then I shifted to digital. Sorry, I wasted it.
That I can live with. वो दाल में चला गया. Goodwill. But no, I think Shark Tank has definitely democratized startup ecosystem with layman terms, right? So that I have to give to everyone, and it's a good platform. Each investor comes with their own thesis. I think yes, they did oversimplify it. Everyone was doing a multiple of the revenue. It was the back of the envelope calculations, but. To be very honest, that's the format of the show, right? They are supposed to do these quick decisions. It's like speed dating. So you have to take that decision. And I'm sure there's due diligence that happens later on and deals may or may not come through. But yes, if it counts for anything, my own son, who's 7.5, was telling me after Shark Tank, we need to open a cafe. And he needs to take it to Shark Tank where I will cook and he will market.
Crazy.
But then I told him, it would be nice if you were sitting on the other side of the table on Shark Tank and giving out money to other people. So that's what you should do.
The training part.
I did start the training part. But it's fun, right? After Shark Tank, my son.
Khandani angel investor.
Yes.
Are we going to discuss nepotism?
No, my son actually talks about. He says we've had this conversation. I think we also had this conversation where he says. AI should not be artificial intelligence, it should be angel investing.
Damn! That's the title of the video.
Yeah, for all the entrepreneurs watching this who are in AI, you know which industry you're in.
No, I think it's I definitely think entrepreneurship is till about 10 years back was not the cool thing to do. It definitely is now. But I think as an entrepreneur or a founder, don't do it for any of these reasons. Do it because you truly believe, because it's as boring as that sounds. You'll get bored of all of the, bells and whistles, and you all know, right?
It's tough.
It's
grinding
not
takes
easy.
a-
Then
Hustle takes a-
it is not easy to be.
Like putting money, taking money. Talking about.
Starting from
I think everything.
Taking money is easy. You do.
No, then you have to build, no?
हाँ नहीं तो वैसे ले लो.
If you don't get it, you don't have to.
Yeah, again, money is a two-edged sword.
Yeah.
It is a two-edged sword. I think just since we're talking about entrepreneurship, like for everyone, entrepreneurship is the loneliest journey you will ever be on.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah,
And
There
it's-
is a guy who has 5 like
I have 5 co-founders, yet I say that. Yet I say that. It is
That hurts.
it is the craziest
Things are
grind.
lonely together.
No, we are lonely together, yes.
But so when people become an entrepreneur for vanity or
Yeah.
just because it's the cool thing, those startups I don't see doing great stuff or producing great products.
Yeah.
So, but because it's really tough to build something which people really love, right? And it requires you to be on the fucking ground.
I always say that if you
Yeah.
evaluate if you evaluate entrepreneurship on a paper, financially, emotionally, it will always come out to be not a good idea.
Time wise.
Yeah.
My God, your time, the amount you never stop being
Yeah.
an entrepreneur. You
Yeah,
can
it's
stop
a-
being a job persona when you reach home at some point in time, but you don't. And interestingly enough, recently one of the founders who we were talking and we spoke about advisory. He asked me to be his co-founder. I was like, I can't do the arts, bro. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Just can't do it. You choose
Yeah.
to not do it. I and the amount of respect I have for founders who are able to do it on a daily basis is immense. So it's a lot of respect if you're able to consistently work on it, get better on it, and it's tough because you are the toughest on yourself. It's your baby. If you mess up, you feel bad. It's
Yeah.
बाकी
Yeah.
सबको कितना बुरा लगता है वो तो
Yeah.
दूर की बात है,
Yeah.
right? So it's how bad you feel. So yeah, I mean, do it because you feel like this makes you happy and this is
Yeah.
something you can pull the energy to do every day. And if you can, then there's
Yeah.
nothing better than it either.
Yeah. So one of my superstar VCs, and I'll love to name them because they've
Yeah.
taught me a lot, Acts a lot.
Yeah.
The guy who leads it told me that Chirag, always remember
Yeah.
that for an investor you're just one of the companies,
Yes.
but for the founder it is your only company.
It is your only company. Very
So
true.
build it like that. And he specifically told me that always know that for most of the investors it is a sit back and see show.
Yes.
But if the founder is not driving it, then no one will drive
No
it.
one will drive it.
So that's something.
But building on that point, and that's the last segment I want to
Yeah.
discuss, is that, of course, what exactly is your pitch as an Indian investor? That apart from the money, of course, you
Yeah.
bring to the table, what else do you pitch in?
Yeah.
Or offer at least? It's up to them to take it or not.
Yeah.
But what exactly all of you
Yeah.
can bring into the table?
My
All these are
amazing
not
friends.
angel investors.
If we want to be in the future.
This is what we will like put a reel and at the rate to Shark Tank.
Yeah, my
This is your
pitch
pitch to them.
my pitch is my bubbly personality. I'm going to bring that to the table.
It's a hit.
When you have a tough grade, you call me and you're going to feel better about it. I mean, what gets better than
Perfect.
that? That is
Lives up to the angel.
image.
image. But no, on a serious note, I think what I pitch to them is just it's less pitching. What I will say is when my conversations start with anyone in angel investing, it's never a what I will give. First couple of conversations, I open my network anyway because if I can help anyone, that's great. Why not, right? I'm in good karma for me, and it makes me feel good, and it makes me feel more useful. And I learn about a new company and a new sector almost always, right? It must have been something that I have not thought of, hence they're doing it, right? So that part. But what I usually tell people is, my network, my time, and I may not be a co-founder, but I do believe that 1 hour of my time is equal to an average investor's 5 hours. So I do tell them that straight up, that I'm that good that you will only need 1 hour of my time because you don't have time to spend time trying
Yeah.
to impress me or make decks or whatever. You need to get on a call and say, this is my issue, what can I do? And use me as a bouncing board for your ideas, and
Yeah.
we take it
That's
from
a
there.
super hit pitch for sure.
Any of your founders looking at this right now, please do write to us at hello@nqbangelnetwork.com.
Whoa.
Yeah, it will be in the description.
Perfect. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And in fact, like from the earliest days, we remember when Niharika had just invested. We would of course reach out to her for help, but the brilliant part was that she would follow up.
Yeah.
That if, hey guys, was this sorted? What can I do? Where can I connect you? And I think this is something which goes a long way in the investor-founder relation. Yeah, it still happens.
I still call them.
So it's just beautiful that it's not just an investor-founder relationship. They really care about your company, and it's not just you on the solo road. So I think that makes.
I have some like tiers of angel investors in my head. Okay,
Yeah.
the lowest tier is with the one which does not care, like ghost.
Ghost
It's ghosted out.
Ghost investor.
Second is the one who will just ask for updates. Time suckers, according to me. Only ask for updates, not do anything. This is second. Then is the one who makes a connect on WhatsApp or email.
Yeah.
Some use.
Yeah.
The fourth one is the one who will run for you,
Yeah.
if need be.
Yeah.
So, for me, like for us at Leaf, you have ran a few times. So,
Thank you.
so you're right there.
Thank you.
I hope I am clear with what I mean. That
Yes.
you ran. For it.
There's so many stories. Definitely.
But I have a dark question on angel investing.
Dark
Like,
question.
Bharat
Sounds
is
very
going
common.
tough
question.
Bharat has had a hard day
The
today.
light has gone out of the room. I can see flickering all happening. What's the do?
No, so I think angel investors would have been even more relevant
Yeah.
if AWS had not started giving free credits.
Yeah.
What stops every other company to do the same and practically make business expense zero till the customer, till the startup finds like significant amount of traction / PMF?
Yeah.
So
Do you see that
disrupting
as a
angel
threat
investment,
someday?
you're saying.
Huh?
So
Sorry.
kind of like disrupt angel investment.
What if business expenses become zero someday, like
Yeah.
5-6 years down the line,
Yeah.
till you reach a certain stage?
All the service providers,
Let's say 1,000
Let's say 1,000 customers.
and all the service providers are
Ah,
owning a part of the
they
company.
become, so AWS credits is practically angel investing without equity according. It's a grant
Yeah.
that they are giving that 1 out of 100 will succeed and
Yeah.
sort of cover up for. That's like VC investing gone mad.
So very interesting. Very very interesting point, because on a side note, I was just on the AWS Moonshot panel at Indore. So I was part of the jury figuring out which startups are doing it. So we've had at EAN we work very closely with AWS actually, and shout out to Kumara if he sees this. See, I don't think that's like saying you have a good problem. If honestly the only reason people need me is to get their bare minimum expenses covered, then I'm sorry, you get a loan from a bank. मतलब क्या ही ज़रूरत है मेरी? Up to startup, you have and do consider that as well. We touched upon very briefly on it. Not everyone needs to dilute equity, right? If you are a fairly sorted business and it's a stable business, there are Startup India grants. Which are there. There's Startup India loans that are there, and there are other loans as well. So think about it. So AWS is actually creating an ease in the ecosystem for startup, जहाँ पे basics के लिए भी तेरे दाना पानी के लिए भी आपको भागना पड़ता था, but at least वो तो नहीं करना पड़ा. That is sorted, and it's important because it's almost like trying to get a baby to run even before, just when he's born. So now you have that little bit of comfort zone, right? Even Google is doing that to some extent. There are credits being given out, and it's interesting. One of our startups did say that we just got X amount of credits, and just so everyone knows, even at our network, we have any startup that comes up to us, we do work with AWS. So we have a One Valley passport, or and more details on that, but up to $1 million in credits across. So that's just on top of everything else at a network.
That's crazy.
We do have that tie-up. But like I said, the gist is you don't need it for that. AWS is enabling the system. It's a good problem to have. And honestly, between AWS, Google, and other such organizations, there should be something for cybersecurity in detail. I know AWS covers the basic, but there are certain organizations that need that extra layer. I don't know if we can have more organizations who are cyber experts coming into it, especially in the deep tech, emerging tech space, covering that aspect of it. But do that, so that in fact, even as an angel, I would love to see a monetized startup, and I am very sure and very certain that still angel investors will have that value add for people who don't necessarily want to go a VC route, or VCs may not necessarily want to bet on a certain startup, and then it's the networks that's driving them, and then we've also seen a mixed bag. So
makes sense.
So thank you for that inputs, and now would love to know any ending remarks you guys have. Otherwise, it's a great session today. So anything that you want to add about SynapsePod or about this session overall?
No, thank you so much for having me here. it's always fun to be amongst friends, and I know you all are my friends. It's less of a whatever other professional relationship. It's always heartening. These guys always do the coolest things, and they're the nicest people. And this is not a plug and play, but it's a genuine thing. Okay, and like I said. If there is a way, and this is their way of sort of giving back, which I think is so amazing. Right before this we started, we were talking about the reason this happened, and I'm sure it's already been touched upon, is because these are the sort of conversations we have amongst friends, or these guys have been having, and I'm lucky to be a part of. And if this can be shared with anybody else and it can benefit anyone, then that's sort of our just way of saying thank you to the universe, I guess. So
it's true.
I mean, I was reading somewhere that the long format content like the SynapsePod should not be measured on things like views, comments. Probably they should be measured on longer metrics, like how many startups were started when someone saw it. Even if that count is one, like that's like equivalent to probably 100,000 views.
Agreed.
So,
if you could somehow tie to the cap table.
The angel investment is there everywhere, literally.
Yeah, even I think it's like angel investing. Among all, probably I would say early stage till series A or B.
Yeah.
The only place that I'm very bullish on is angel investing because I see the Tiger Globals of the world starting to come to pre-series A level now.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone in between will be, and I've said this before on the pod that I think everyone in between should be very scared because no one can take the place of an angel because they have the currency of time to give.
Yeah, good point.
And they can come in at the earliest stage.
Yeah.
Now, if the Tiger Globals of the world come at pre-series A, look at what is happening. Previously, let's say 100 pre-series A were happening, now 1000 can happen. Because the guy has got a lot of funds in place. For angel investors, they can probably start to take more bets because more have started to become successful because of that late stage guy now coming to early stage. The $1 billion guy doing pre-series A, $1 billion fundraise.
Yeah.
So I'm very positive about it, and I think the biggest currency that an angel investor would have is, of course, their experience and time. And if the founder chooses the right angel, and if angel gets lucky to get allocation on a good founder, then it's a great story. Personally, like going forward, I think it'll be very tough for angels to find good founders because good founders will find the Tiger Globals of the world very fast. So it will practically become a race. Where do you reach fast? Like, how many second-time founders have you heard raising from angels? I've heard very few. They straight away go for then institutional round because they dig second-time founders. So what do you build in you as an angel investor that such good high-quality founders come to you?
So very true, the brand value. And you essentially touched upon the point that either networks of angels could disrupt the traditional VC or be disrupted if they don't make their brands, right? So Niharika, just last question, right? How do you see the future of angel investing? Do you see it on the path of smaller syndicates being formed where right now we are at city level, let's say Mumbai Angels Network or like
SynapsePod Angel.
Exactly. My question is, do you see such smaller syndicates of 10 people getting registration or legalization as a smaller syndicate and then doing angel investing in India, maybe seeping down to district level, right? Or do you see even larger community groups being formed where rounds are going up to, let's say, 50 crores, 100 crores via angel networks, just being funded by, let's say, 5,000 people? So what is the direction you see? Do you see micro or do you see macro?
I mean, that's very interesting, and this is going to be sort of just my take at this point in time. I have no idea where we'll eventually go, but I think the macro one will be tough. Like getting 5,000 angels just together on the same page is not that easy, right? I mean, even to manage a syndicate of that magnitude is quite time consuming. Plus, everyone being on the same page is tough. Even as a founder, I would personally prefer, I think, and I would recommend to people to go for smaller, syndicates. Whether it's a district, city, geography thing, or it's a sector specific thing, or it's a skill set specific thing, right? It could be like if the 5 of us come on a syndicate, or hypothetically, then we know tech is covered, we know marketing is covered, we know go-to business is covered, right? Maybe deep tech might be the only thing as of now, or maybe it's not there. So this value add together is so much on the table. that I think that might work better, because then that cohort will also be conducive to working with each other.
Yeah.
Because as you said, I think Paras was very on point. Angels can't fight on the amount of capital being deployed. So even the 100 CR, if it's split between 5,000 managing is difficult, and that amount being split amongst how many startups, right? So I think it'll be the micro, because everything is also going hyper local. Then why not angel investing?
Yeah. Future belongs to experts, and I think experts exist in smaller groups and not in herds of 100 or 1,000.
I mean, decentralization can also take place in terms of investment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for example, there's a company called Red DAO. So they invest, it's a DAO, it's a decentralized organization which invests in a certain segment of NFTs or certain segments of arts. Like, so everyone who's put in money, they know that what kind of investment is going to go in, and they have the voting rights and voting tokens. They just have to vote, and then it goes for the investment. So it's like,
is that more like financial in nature, or is it like
investment?
Investment as in?
I mean, they do take stake in projects also. So they go for equity as well.
Yeah.
So they invested in Drop, is one of the company fashion NFT companies.
But it's also very interesting because coming on to that point as well, maybe angel investing syndicates also start to form on skill sets. For example,
verticals.
let's say DevOps is very important to my business that I'm building, right? So if there is a DevOps angel network or a DevOps syndicate who I can give just 1% of my company and my DevOps is sorted forever.
That's more like service company, like taking equity. Isn't it?
Yeah, or a group of hyper successful.
Give 1% to HR company. Good one.
Yeah, why not? My hiring is sorted.
It's sorted. Hiring is sorted.
It's all about making new structures of deals, right?
Yeah.
Where the most core functions which do not require a lot of cognitive abilities can be sorted.
Yeah.
So
That's a very good point. I think Chirag, you need to work on that more.
yeah,
And reach out to
is
all
that
of us.
my next business?
That could be.
That's the whole idea.
Chirag will now see angel round as an outsourcing round. What all can you outsource? Just give 1% to each, take money,
Get everyone's skin in the game.
and give that money back to them in invoices. And it's
Guys, for all the founders, you need to ignore this. We all are angel investing, so but not like this.
Okay, don't take,
Perfect. So that's a wrap, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in today for this pod, and hope it can be helpful for our audience. So like,
Subscribe.
Share.
comment.
Enjoy.
enjoy.